I borrowed about $2 million of, about $1 million of private money and short-term hard money lending, etc. Back when prices were $80,000 to $100,000 for a 3-bedroom brick house on a decent block in the city. I had a lot of deals going, a lot of properties, and was building quite an empire. So what happened was, in 2007, prices started to come down. 2008, we all know the whole economy tanked and the market fell apart. And I was in the process of getting a blanket refinance loan on my properties, and had about $2 million worth of equity at the end of 2007, beginning of 2008. A lot of rehabs in process, but a lot of worth. I had a net worth of $1 million on paper. By the end of 2009, all of those properties were gone. But I still was carrying about $1 million in paper, $1 million in debt. So what I did was I traded a lot of the properties for equity. I traded the debt for equity, did some swaps, and I renegotiated a lot of the loans, sometimes a little bit aggressively. You know, when you owe someone $100,000 and your entire market's collapsed, you can get a little bit better terms on your renegotiation. So I was able to take advantage of the floor in the market, as Mr. Daniels would say, and was able to get myself out of that situation. But to this day, I have a separate bank account with automated payments going on every month on the 15th, and I have $3,000 a month that go out every month, like clockwork, to the creditors that are playing ball with me and still in the game. Some of the creditors walked away. I mean, some of the lenders just walked away. Some of them we did refinance deals and were able to restructure things. And this is going to go on for the next 12 years. I've still got payments stretched out for 12 years on this. So I didn't file Chapter 7. I talked to 6 different attorneys, and they all said, file Chapter 7, file bankruptcy. I decided that, for me, this would be the defining moment in my career in real estate at that point in time. And I said, you know, I can either file Chapter 7 and walk away, but I'm not in it that deep where I can't get out of it. You know, it's only $3,000 a month, and if I bust my ass and work hard doing what I do, I know I can make the money to cover it, and I can use this to my advantage as time goes on. So in addition to paying off all those lenders, I'm able to sit here and tell you guys, you know, I found another way out. Now, I know if you had $5 million in debt, probably wouldn't have worked, you know. And for a lot of people, maybe $100,000 or $2,000, they could have figured another way to get it done. But for me, the solution works. So I'm not patting myself on the back about it. I was lucky. I'm lucky enough to be smart enough to get out of it and to have a lot of very generous, kind lenders that I've worked with that have been working with me to make things happen. So this is what's happened since then. In 2011, I really got back in the game hard with some partners, and we formed an investment fund, and started in 2012, doing a lot of heavy buying and selling. And these are all actual deals. Every single deal this project did during that period of time. 17% yield on the Buckingham deal. 20% return in 30 days on a wholesale flip. Broad Street was leveraged and land contract and made a good profit on that. $10,000 profit on a house in Racine in Detroit. Devonshire, the only house we did that lost money, 1% loss, and I'll tell you why on that one in a minute. The Mapleview land contract we still have about $3,000 into it, and it produces over $3,000 return every year for the last 2-3 years now. Bought a bunch of properties at tax sale, flipped them, made a decent return. Stockwell, I was just over there yesterday, $10,000 on that one. 123% annual return on this one. 15,642% annual return on the Mark Twain deal. It's just some really sick numbers, but small amounts of cash. Only 140 grand sold, but a decent return. So I got into it and got back into it and realized that I could start making money again. So I did, and I've used that to do what I said. I paid off a bunch of investors and taking care of myself and my family. So the 1% loss on the Devonshire deal, I held the property too long. I didn't have good contractors and good management in place at that time. So I looked at what does it take to be successful in real estate in the city, and ideally, I would think anywhere. And I came up with some help from my buddy Gideon, the 4 pillars of success. The first one is easy, acquisition finance. It's the first thing we do. We buy a property. And a lot of people say that's when you make your money, which is true. You buy right and you make your money, as long as everything else goes right. If you're not embarrassed to make the offer, don't make the offer. I know everybody's heard this that's been in the game for a little while. I'm especially proud of being embarrassed with offers that I make, although it gets harder and harder as you continue to make tighter and tighter offers. It becomes more and more difficult to make those embarrassing offers. The thing that I was talking with Jeremy outside earlier tonight was that you can't do 200 deals a year if you're making consistently low offers. You got to bring it up a little bit and pay a little bit better wholesale market rates. But when you're just getting started out, absolutely. Make a low ball offer. Think about what's the lowest I offer that property. Would I offer $7,000 for that beat up house in Detroit? Okay, I'm going to offer $5,000. I'm going to offer $3,000. And just make the offer. Make a lot of offers. I've heard the expression before about leaving money on the table at deals. And my philosophy on leaving money on the table is that I like to leave money on the table at every deal, because that means I'm doing deals. The only people who do not leave money on the table are people who do not do deals.
Yes.
So leave money on the table. And don't sweat it, just do another deal. As long as you're making money on most of your deals, aggregate, weighed out, you're making money. So, the next thing, direct mail. I know that Steve, where are you? No. Has been doing some direct mailing lately, and I'd like to tell a story about a direct mail campaign I did a couple years ago. In the city of Hamtramck, I took 1,000 hand-addressed, hand-stamped, odd-sized envelopes with a one-page letter saying, "Hi, I'm Brent, I'm a real estate investor, and I'd be interested in talking to you about buying your property." A little bit more than that, and I hand-signed them. They were sticker return address stamped and mailed out to 1,000 people in Hamtramck. Anybody have any idea how many people called me back on that? Got a guess? Can I get a number? How many? 250. Little less. Wow. 210 people.
Wow.
21% return on a direct mail. Now, just listening today from a sales coach on a CD in the car, Wes Schaefer, said that a lot of people on direct mail think that 0.5% is kind of return you'd expect, or 1%. So I don't know, what kind of return are you getting, Steve?
The yellow letters like that, 15 to 25, depending on the list.
Yeah.
Postcard is about 3%.
So okay.
Yellow letters way higher.
So the list I generated was targeted neighborhoods in Hamtramck that I like the neighborhoods, and it was compiled by taking county records of people whose taxpayer address did not match the residence address. So we can safely assume that they probably don't live there. I filtered out the ones that were, I did all the multiples and searched them, and the ones that were all looked like they were bank owned, I took those out. So I just looked for ones that were private individual or small LLC owned that were a mismatched taxpayer address and property owner address. And that's how I generate my list. You just pick your area and go. And it's still summertime, so I have some my people in my office. Their kids are coming in to do our August direct mailing, doing the handwriting.
So talking about child labor.
Yes, child labor, exactly.
That's right. I am pro child labor.
Okay, pillar 2, stabilization. This is getting a vacant property into the condition where it can be managed. Now, 2 things I like to talk about. Property I had on Inverness in like the Puritan Pilgrim area on the west side. A little bit of a rough area. These people keep breaking into the house and stealing over and over again. This was a management property, but I was still involved with the management of it. And we had Doug from No Zone come over and redo the whole 9 yards, put in the ballistic front door, and fatten up all of the windows and everything. These thieves stole everything. Not your typical stuff. Not as bad as the worst I've ever seen, where they actually pulled the wires through the drywall throughout the house out of the wall. But they took, it was a new remodel, so they took the carpet. They stole carpet. It's only happened to me once, but it was nice to see. Yeah. And it was nice carpet. They took the handrails. They took all the light fixtures. We're talking $5 nickel light fixtures. They took them all. In addition to all the typical things, kitchen sinks, bathroom sinks, faucets, fixtures, bathtubs, toilets, mechanicals in the basement. So I'm driving down the street, and I actually have my mom with me in the car, and I see these two guys walking down the street with a hot water tank. So I'm like rolling up on them. Mom was like, don't do that, don't do that. I'm like, no, it's fine. So I grab my business card. I'm like, excuse me, hey, I was wondering if you'd be interested in selling that water tank. And I'm also in the market for some carpet. So they didn't call, but it was worth a shot.
Yeah.
So I have now, we have 3 different things we do to prevent furnaces from being stolen. I've just hooked up with a guy who is from England. He's here in Detroit, manages a bunch of properties, and he actually takes these heavy metal, custom-made, they're like elbow brackets, and he welds them into the furnace and into the floor. So the furnace is permanently installed. He says out of 250 houses we had break-ins over the last 10 years, that he's only had 2 or 3 stolen. So that's pretty good, but I'm not sure I like that concept. Number 2 is you just secure the heck out of the house. Put in metal grate or not drywall, not OSB, but like a nice metal grid and bolt it in. You can use special screws. I've got one guy who's got custom-made screws and a custom-made bit that he had done in China and shipped over for him. Again, this all seems kind of excessive and a little bit overkill. I just like to board a house nicely. Put a good lock on the front door. Put security doors on it. Board it up, and then pull the furnace and the water tank out of the house. And don't put them back in until the day the tenants are moving into the property. So that's my preferred method. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's also a lot easier to manage. And the startup costs are not as much for anyone interested because it's a lot of money to do proper board ups. Yeah. It's expensive, and there are companies that do it and they actually charge monthly rates like VPS. It's expensive. The next thing regarding rehabs. I've gone into properties and had beer bottles in closets. I've had beer bottles on stairs. I don't tolerate this. I don't like it. I'm not a drinker anymore myself, but that's beside the point. If you're going to be a drinker, don't do it on a job site. You know, it's very easy. The problem is when you're trying to be cheap and trying to get the best deals, you end up hiring these whack contractors who do half-ass job, don't finish the job, and you end up paying more for it in the long run with hassle, headache, and you don't save any money in the long run. So use responsible adult contractors, people you don't have to babysit. This is my message to myself more than anybody else in the room to remind myself on a regular basis to just pay a little more and hire good people. Property management. Property management Detroit. And we can talk about this all night. You know, it's running out of here. Can't handle it. Come back. Detroit needs you, Alan. Buy 10, get 9. Where else in the world can you buy 10 houses and get 9? Because what happens is you buy 10 houses, and one of those houses ends up being a catastrophic destruction loss. Chris, does insurance cover if they steal the furnace and the water heater? Yep. What if they come and rip out the walls and all that stuff? Maybe.
Vandalism.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
What's my deductible?
2,500.
5.
5,000.
Right. It's and it happens a couple times, and it's a $15,000 house. It's catastrophic loss, but not a match. Right? 2 kinds of fire, right? Good fires and bad fires.
Yeah.
What's a good fire? Nobody got hurt. So I have never had a fire. I've never had a fire claim. But yeah, catastrophic losses happen. Houses get trashed in the city. It's the reality of doing business in Detroit. I used to do business with investors who buy one house, and I don't like doing that. I try and talk them out of it. I'm like, if you want to do business in Detroit, you have to do scale. You can't do one house. Because you got 9 houses left. Now, out of those 9, 3 of them are going to be professional, criminal deadbeats who will con you and get into that house, even with good paperwork, and first payment default. 3 of them are going to be people who are basically good people, but sometimes get behind on their bills and try to catch up, and are sometimes a month or 2 behind, but they drag their feet and they make decisions and they make other things a priority. Oh, I had to pay DTE, had to pay my child support, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes I think, I spent a lot of my life falling into category 2 there, So it's hard for me to get down on those people because I've been them. And sometimes it's hard when you're down to get up. You know, it's hard just to survive. So, but that's the majority of your people are those people. Then 3 out of them, out of that 10, are going to be good people who pay their rent every month on time or within a reasonable period of time. So that is where your bread and butter comes from. And basically, you got 60% of your tenants who are good. I just did our Monday morning meeting this week for our July property management. We have 10.4% vacancy, so we have 89.6% occupancy. Of that, we've got 85% performance. So we've got 75% of our market rents, our gross rents, we actually collect them. So you got, $20,000 a month in rents, you're only getting $15,000 a month. That's the reality of it. So you've got to account for that in the numbers. The properties that we sell have a 20 to 30% ROI for a lot of them. But when you really look into that, you're really looking at more to a 10 to 15% ROI, realistically, in the city. Cash for keys. Now, I have a lot of owners I work with, and I myself do not fall in this category, who get emotional about paying tenants to leave. If you got a bad guy or a bad girl in your house, pay them to leave. $500, even $1,000. Get them out of there. A house sitting vacant or sitting occupied but not performing for 2 months, you're losing $1,500 in rent. So you're making money on it that way. An eviction with Jim Abbott, even he's cheap, but with him and the bailiffs and all the headaches, etc., you're looking at upwards of $1,000, and that's if they don't trash the place. And how much does insurance cover if they trash the place on the way out, Chris? 0. Pay them off. Don't be emotional about it. Oh, I'm not giving those guys any money. They fucked me. They didn't pay me my rent. You know what? Are you managing your property or are we managing your property? We're going to pay them off.
Yeah.
We're going to pay them off and get them out because we don't want to deal with the headache. And we don't want to deal with the losses. So it's worth it. It's lesser of two evils. It's a cash decision you got to make. Lastly, sales. It's nice to sell before you buy it. I love it. Put a house under contract. If you're flipping, line up the buyers, sell it before you close on it. Then double close. Bam, bam. One day separated or the same day if you find the right title company. You've made your money and you have no exposure. It's awesome. However, I think what's even more awesome is long-term income. You can figure out a way to monetize these properties and keep them going for a long time and have passive income from it. That's great. I talk to a lot of my partners about it, and they're like, well, do we really want to sell this property? And the answer is always yes, because I'm actively in the business. I can actively turn and make 50 to 100% ROI on my deals, okay? Because I'm working them every day. But if you're just sitting on them and watching them, then 15, 20% is, realistically on the high end of what you're going to get, probably a little less. So it makes sense if you're actively in the business to keep churning them, keep them going. You make your money every time you buy, you make your money every time you sell. But there's only a limit. There's only one of me. There's only so much I can do. I'm working on putting systems in place to make it so that I can do more, which is the investment property systems, which is our new launch, which isn't up yet. But we'll be launching in the next month or two. In the meantime, I do have cards here. You can pick up on the way out if you're interested in talking with me. So that's my plug, my sales pitch. But long-term income, I think, is where it's at. In order to get long-term income, or any income, or be successful at all, in Detroit especially, but probably in any other market, management is the golden ticket. Now, I have a golden ticket. I didn't have one, though, 4 years ago. I was in the game trying to limp along and struggle. Now I've got an office manager who's a property manager and a broker. I've got a front desk person. I've got people working in my office doing management. I've got contractors on staff. Got handymen on staff. Got the whole machine up and running. Spent the last year fine-tuning it and building it to the point where it's a very successful, profitable property management company in the city of Detroit. And I think the city of Detroit is sorely needing good property management.
Like you wouldn't believe.
So
I'll take that over Jesus.
it's the golden ticket.
Yeah.
Really, Jeremy? We're going there?
Yeah.
Go there.
He hasn't collected any rent for me. I'll change my mind then.
Keep going.
But don't get me started on baby Jesus.
Keep going.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Mike Dugan
Thief!
steal my house? I got
Thief!
the letter in the mail. Twice. The first one, was this one. I'll come back to that one. The second one more recently was him saying, we're stealing your house because the people in it are drug dealers and we're going to seize it. Because in 1500 in England, it was okay to steal people's property because there was crimes being committed in it. So now we're going to do that here in Detroit. So they're doing it, seizing people's houses where drug crimes are being committed. They said if it happens again, we're taking the house. So what are my options? Evict the people? These are good tenants who pay rent every month. I don't know what the crime they were accused of. Didn't even say they were convicted of anything. Just there was an acute accusation or arrest or something. So beware about that. I don't have a full story on it, but it happened. More previously was this particular house right here. Can you guys see this in the back? How does this house look? I would live in this house. It's a nice looking house. It's a 3-bedroom colonial, 1 bath on Braille Street, Detroit's west side. Good block, 16115 Braille if you're interested in driving by.
Very nice.
What a nice looking house. New roof, new updated windows, all the shutters are in place. Yeah, I could use a power washing, but I'm early. Is there anything else wrong with it?
I'm moving in.
You can't. He sent me a letter saying we're taking it for blight. We're stealing it.
Yeah.
Like blight? So fortunately my partner in this deal is an attorney, so he handled it. He sent a letter. I sent him pictures. Actually, this was the picture he sent in. Like, there's no blight on this house. It was boarded prior to this picture being taken about 3 months earlier for about a month when it was being turned and reoccupied. But it was never blighted. It was never unsecured. It was just boarded. But they listed it along with 100 other houses. And this is just one lawsuit that they filed, and I happen to be able to call the named in it. So I don't really have a comment on that from a political standpoint.
Stealing's bad.
Stealing is bad. I think there's something in the Bible about it.
It's everywhere. Nobody likes stealing.
Nobody likes stealing.
Universal.
I think the government likes it. They don't call it stealing, they call it tax.
Well, this isn't taxes, though.
No, this is straight up
This is
theft.
straight up theft.
It's thuggery.
What are they going to do once they get it?
Right. Well,
They auction it.
Here's what they're going to do when they get it. They're going to sell it back on the Detroit Land Bank. The Detroit Land Bank has buildingdetroit.com where you can, or biddingdetroit.com where you can buy properties in the city right now, which are going for nice prices. I mean, very strong prices, good numbers. I like seeing it. I mean, it's
Of course, when you get it for free, anything's
It's all
profit,
profit
right?
for them, yes.
Yeah. So
I bought houses for $1. I've never stolen one.
yeah.
All right. Low prices and big profits. I'm going to go over a couple deals here. The Monica Street duplex I got 35 days ago from my friend Steve. $11,000 was paid to the seller. Our wholesaler, which is Steve, made $2,000. We sold it for $30,000, paid out $3,000 in commissions, $1,000 in costs, netted $13,000. I split that out to a money partner who funded the deal $6,500. Left with $6,500 in gross profit for me. Not bad for a month's work on one deal. The passive partner ROI was 59%. 59%. $6,500 against $11,000 for a month. What is the annual percentage rate for that passive partner? Any math whizzes in here?
Ridiculous. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yes, good enough.
I love Alan.
I think it's upwards of 20,000% APY. A little better than COSI cost of funds. And less than 30 days of exposure. The front end closed in just after the 1st of June, and the back end closed, or excuse me, July, and the back end closed at the end of the month. Yes?
Where did you find your buyer, and did you obviously listed with an agent then?
No, we sold it direct through our company, but with one of our agents. Where did we find our buyer? Steve?
Oh, you're the buyer? Well, you were my buyer.
Hmm?
I don't know. You were my buyer. Where do we find our buyer?
Well, the buyer, yes, okay. The buyer was, sorry, a little backwards there. The buyer was, actually, interesting enough, an out of state, out of the country, I call them the last middleman. They buy them and then they flip them to their end users. And they do offer some things that I won't offer. They offer performance guarantees. They offer a buyback guarantee. Things that the SEC might not feel so kindly about. But if you're running out of London, the rules are not the same. So They sold it for $60,000, and they double closed it when I sold it to them. So this property that this lady sold for $11,000 sold a month later for $60,000. We put no money into the house. Those costs are not rehab. Those costs are closing costs and carrying costs. That's it on both ends of the deal.
Steve, you need to sell to Brent a little higher.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, here's the deal, though.
15 next time.
I'm just kidding.
There's not that much money in there for me to go that much higher. I mean, I could go a little higher, but it's just not that much. There's too many people involved. There's too many partners involved. There's too many steps in the chain.
And I'm fine because I'm in and out in a couple weeks and
Right. With zero exposure.
yeah.
A couple hours of work.
I have a month of exposure on the money, but that's it. So,
I would like to just. That's why the internet basically. Do videos, post them on the internet. These people contact you. Start a blog. Been saying it for like 4 fucking years. Do videos, post it on the internet. They contact you. Yes, that's how they find you. There's no yellow pages for your ass. Get on the internet.
Like a little wholesale.
Yep. Sorry to interrupt, Brett.
thank you for the opportunity to take a drink. The Ferris Shotgun House.
That's a teeny tiny house.
It is a teeny tiny house. No, it's not a shotgun involved here. The house is actually a shotgun house. It's the style of house. Purchased for $1,000. I paid a wholesaler fee, $500. This was actually bought at the Oakland RIA a month before last. It was the lady's very first deal that she wholesaled to me.
All right.
Original price was $47.50, but after a little due diligence and a couple conversations, we got it to a more realistic number of $1,000. So rehabbed it for $5,000. And rehab was done.
She paid you that?
No, she didn't pay me. I haven't been able to figure that one out yet, but maybe I'll get some tips from Mike Dugan.
Yeah.
So we got $6,500 into the house. This is owned in-house. We're renting it out right now for $650 a month. And that's an ROI. In this case, I'm expressing an ROI in terms of months, 10 months. If I can do 12 to 18 months ROI in deals, maybe as much as 24 months, that's fabulous. Gross return versus the rental amount. If everybody understand what I'm talking about there. When I got into this business, a gross rent multiplier for properties was 100. 100 to 1. This is 10. It's a great time to buy. It's a great time to hold. Look at it. Look how gorgeous that is. That is a $6,500 house. $6,500. Built in 2005.
With Obama money or 2005 Bush money, government money. Yeah.
It's so cute though.
Does it not kind of look like another house that used to be on either side, like row houses?
I know.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like row house.
There are a lot of these are infill houses that were built with government money. I'm not sure where it came from or 2005 wasn't Obama money.
No. Government money.
Government money.
$150,000 house you bought for $6,500.
I posted a picture today of 2 big-time wrestlers on my Facebook page, and the comment was that one is the Democrat and one is the Republican, and they both act like they're fighting each other, but really it's just a scripted show and they're being paid to do it. So yes, Bush, Obama, I don't care.
Nope.
So, moving on. Why you shouldn't trust Google or the internet and what to do about it. I live in Detroit. I'm on the ground. I'd like to know if anybody can tell me what zip codes in the city of Detroit are good zip codes to buy in.
4219.
4219. What else? Can anybody else got zip codes in Detroit?
235.
235.
202.
202? 221. 222 is a little... What else? 221's good.
No.
224 maybe?
227.
227, good stuff. 223, parts of it. Even Brightmoor's starting good. This is 214. 214. This is actually where I live. It's Indian Village, so it's skewed. But 214 and 207 next to it are rough zip codes. Detroit's full of neighborhoods, not as nice as this, but neighborhoods where you have a lot of nice houses, and it's block by block, house by house. I can fix any house. I can fix a bad house. I cannot fix a bad block. This is what this block looks like last week. Nice, nice, nice. Stop at the stop sign because I'm a law-abiding citizen. And bam! Bam! Wow! Google Maps! Whoa! That's a little beat up, but that's a nice functional duplex. Or quad, excuse me.
Heck yeah.
Reality! Bam!
Yeah.
Wow!
That shit's hit.
Sell that shit overseas.
Yeah.
Use Google Maps.
You wouldn't do that.
That's a block away.
No, I would sell to someone overseas, and then they would sell it.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
tell them the truth, and they would use the Google Maps picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm responsible, when I sell properties, I'm responsible for my sellers.
Yeah.
So what the buyers do with it, it's on the buyers, you know. If I sell it to a buyer and a buyer turns around and flips it and they're shady, I have a fiduciary responsibility on properties that I own with partners to my partners and the people that I'm representing. So I don't get to say, you're a bad guy, I'm not going to sell to you. It's just not ethical. But I don't have any control over what they do with it after the fact. So, but no, I would present it as it is. I take the pictures, I put them in a Dropbox folder, and I say, here's what it is. Here's the reality of it. Here's how we can spin it. It's probably why I don't make enough money. You know, a lot of people make a lot more money than I do, but they're shady. You know, it's just not necessary though. East English Village. We bought this at tax sale last October. $20,000 at the auction. Cost about $10,000 to get it right. We're still doing a little bit of work on it, and have the tenant in it doing some work as well, and she's for some rent credits. It is rented for $1,200 a month. There's a family up and a family down. These are the family that lived in the house since the 80s. It's their parents' house. The parents died, and you have a brother upstairs and a sister downstairs, and both of their respective families. Nice big duplex. They don't really get along, but they each have their half of the house. I haven't really been aggressively marketing it because that area is coming up quite strongly. This is 48224. East English Village is the far east side of Detroit. Nice historical neighborhood, good houses. Right now, it's worth 60 plus. You know, there are houses in that area, duplexes in the area, selling for $80,000. So, no real rush to sell it. It'd be nice to be able to pull our acquisition funds out of it, though. Some long-term financing. Same thing with that Ferris house. It's only $6,500, but it'd be nice to get some of that money back to put into play to do more deals. So that's where I'm headed. So, who can make a profit in the city while making a difference? I mean, we all work in Detroit, whether it's Detroit proper or Detroit Metro. This is our town. We are Detroiters. It's not necessary to rip people off and be overly greedy. This is a client's portfolio fund I managed and makes a lot of money off of. They did 38 deals in a year and a half, 120 apartments, flats, units, over $1 million in purchases, over $2 million in sales. That's $1 million in gross margins. Now, they spent some of that money rehabbing those properties and stabilizing them, but not enough. I don't know exactly what their final numbers were, but they made between 50 and 100% ROI in 18 months on $1 million invested, which is pretty nice. Now, I've been in this business 10 years. I've had some real hard times. I plan on being in this business 10 more years, you know, by doing the next right thing to the best of my ability, which is not always easy. It's not always easy to be able to do it, first of all. Sometimes you have obligations you cannot meet. You know, they're just, you have to do the best you can. And that's not the situation I'm in now, but it's definitely the situation I was in for years. Also, sometimes it's hard to say no, you know? I mean, greed is the reason why a lot of us got into this room in the first place. And you can't let that eat you up, because it doesn't really matter. I'm doing okay now. I'm making decent money. And I know that money isn't making anything in my life better. It makes more problems in some way, and it makes some things a little bit easier to handle, but it doesn't answer the problems. This is what it's all about. That's my daughter, that's Rosie, and that's Spot. Rosie and Spot, Tina knows them, Jerry knows them, came from these guys. These are Detroit city dogs, 7 Mile Losser dogs.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yep.
but they're East Side dogs now.
They are.
You know?
That's a great picture. Your daughter looks very happy.
So yeah, I had it this morning. This was from this morning. I said we're going to take a good picture of the dogs, and I just going to get the dogs in the picture and have them sit still. And
Right.
this is like the 15th picture. I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So that was it. I was like, this is cool. I'll run with this one. So yeah, you know, the dogs listen a little bit. The daughter listens a little bit. Do the best we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, I'm passionate about real estate. But I'm more passionate about my family and taking care of my family. And the big picture of it is that you're all my family. Everyone in this room is. We're all one people. Regardless of whether you're an Obama or a Bush, it doesn't matter. We're all in this together. We got one Detroit metro area, and that's what matters. So that's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do, and that's why I do the next right thing. And, help rescue a couple dogs, maybe one more next summer, and do the best I can for my family. So hopefully y'all got something out of this. I know I did. Thanks. Any questions?
Yes, 2 questions. Yeah. Don't be shy.
Yes, sir, Mr. Daniels.
On one of the deals you mentioned was a tag sale, and you're renting it out.
Yes.
Are you acquiring title right away?
No.
So you're waiting until you're
Yeah, there's a company in California, Tax Title Services or something. They'll do the sale with I think it's $1,100 up front and then $750 in 30 days or something like that. So it's basically $2,000 what I look at it as. To sell on a warranty deed, to sell that property, that's what I have to do to get the title transferable on a warranty deed.
or quiet title, which would be a little bit more money and more time.
Or a quiet title, which may be a little bit more money or may not. We're doing a quiet title right now on the lady that sold the Monica deal has another property, and we're doing a quiet title right now on her other property, and it's not costing me anything, but for her price on it, it looks like it's going to be probably around $1,000. But it's going to take a lot more time.
Yeah, because you got public.
Yeah, so...
Brent, can you explain what quiet title is in case somebody doesn't know?
A quiet title action is a lawsuit filed by the owner of a property that notifies all of the people in mail and advertisement, I'm not sure the exact procedure, that have or may have had a vested interest on the property before the date of the most recent sale. In this case, what happened was the property was foreclosed, or on a foreclosure list in 1997 from the state of Michigan. This lady bought it in 1993. It was foreclosed in 1997. She didn't record her deed until 2010. But the state of Michigan never took the property or did anything on it between 97 and now. So we're thinking that it's a good candidate for a quiet title action. So basically the state of Michigan is being notified and they're being told, if you have an interest in this property, the court's telling them, you need to let us know and speak up. Otherwise, we're removing your interest in the property and granting clean title to the seller so that the property can then be sold on a warranty deed. If anybody's an expert on this or knows more about it than I do, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not.
You did a good job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a quiet title. Any other questions?
How much are you going to pay for Ardmore?
Yeah.
$3,000.
Hold on, spotlights.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
$2,500.
So, other way.
Yeah. Any more questions for Brent, or are you just being shy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of maybe a shy question. What's your suggestion for people starting out? Go look for the foreclosures and tax sailors, or talk to your friendly neighborhood wholesaler?
What are you starting out doing? What do you want to do?
What I want to do is buy small multi-unit things like quads or something like that would cash flow forever. I'm from Toronto. The houses are hideously expensive.
Yes.
I can't buy anything there, but I can buy something here.
And you're talking about buying in the city, or buying in high-risk areas, or buying in the suburbs?
To answer that question is actually why I started coming here. This is my first attendance here. I lived here 20 years ago, but that was up in Troy, Sterling Heights, that area there.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a three-year contract with Ford down in Dearborn, so I'm here for at least that long.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured during that time, it might make sense to pick something up. But again, I don't even know what areas and all that. So.
Well, I think you're doing the right thing right here by coming to the meeting. You're surrounded with a good number of people in this room who are actively in the business and have been so for years. And we've got hundreds of years of experience in this room. So that's the first step I would suggest to anyone. It's actually the first thing I ever did. far as deals go, I would start out very conservatively. You know, you're go with a duplex or a multifamily that's in a very low risk, high income area if you're looking for that. You know, you're not going to get a good, you're not going to get a real good return in, say, Ferndale compared to like you would in rough areas of the city. But your risk is much lower, and it's probably a better place to start. If you were going to start with something in the city, hook up with someone in this room that does business in the city and do a lot of deals. As far as buying on foreclosure versus, you know, there's so many pitfalls about buying. I would suggest buying on a warranty deed, buying a legitimate property from a legitimate seller through legitimate channels before trying to do it, you know, on the street as an investor, or hooking up with someone in the room, partnering with them, and they can walk you through it. That's probably a good way to get it done. What's that?
Yeah.
Or just talk to me.
Yeah, good to see you.
Do you have a feel for like what's the you know, next, or what the thing was in Ferndale, for example? Ferndale water, what was that you know, cash flow per door?
Ferndale what? I don't think there are.
Okay.
What cities were the other one?
Maybe I'm wrong.
Did you say Warren?
I'm just thinking
Ferndale.
what the per door cash flow is in
Yeah, I don't know Ferndale. I know that it would be. I just threw it out there as an example. You know Ferndale down there?
Ferndale.
There aren't any.
There's not really a right or wrong answer, man. Like, if you never invested before, Detroit, you just scratch that shit from the list for a while, man. This is gladiatorial combat. If you're not willing to lose it all and die on the streets, you need not be here. Is there any more questions? All right, if you have any more questions, you can go ahead and talk to Brent after. Thanks, Brent. Let's give him another round of applause. Yeah.